For some people, the person like my father would be a terrorist. For others, it would be a freedom fighter. So it depends on which side of the coin you're looking at.
Tonight, we are leaving the European Union. For many people, this is an astonishing moment of hope, a moment they thought would never come.
With Brexit came a surge in numbers of British applications for Irish passports, at least 420,000. I was encouraged to do the same by my Irish grandmother, through whom I was eligible for Irish citizenship, but I didn't feel Irish and knew very little about the country, so was reluctant to do so. But in 2021, I received an email from my nana's brother, Pat, which informed me that 100 years ago, his father Jeremiah and his uncle Patrick were arrested for serving in the IRA during the War of Independence. My nana emigrated to London with her parents and her 4 siblings around 65 years ago, and her lot has changed for Ireland since then.
In England, there is quite strong conditioning of not including a wider perspective of what was part of their United Kingdom for quite a long period of time. And if they do, it would just be matter of fact, like there was a famine in Ireland between 1845 and 1849. There was a famine and 1 million people died. Next subject.
Oh, that's in Ireland, the village. My friend Margaret and her father and me. The reason we came to England was my father retired and no work there, so we came to England because my mother had 2 brothers living here.
Was it a bit of a culture shock?
Well, yes, coming from a village, rural, and then living in opposite Queen's Park, and had the Bakerloo line at the back and the main Paddington line. That's in the paper by my father. He was captain in the number 2 Corps Brigade during the War of Independence.
Did he ever talk to you about?
No.
No.
Just that he had been to America, but I'm not absolutely clear why. It might have been after, perhaps wanted, as he'd been in the army. Uncle Paddy's my father's brother.
And he also fought in the IRA?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had to dig his own grave.
Gosh.
Yeah.
What was he like?
Yes, very caring, very lovely, very gentle. They worked hard on the farm. I was just happy, carefree childhood, no restrictions really. We could wander where we wanted to.
And did Paddy ever talk about serving with the IRA?
No, and I think you'll find even in this country, men like Sir Tom and others, obviously he did a bit, but lots at that age they never spoke about it because it's too painful and brings the memories back, and they often prefer to try and forget rather than remember.
I was born in Ballyarthur, Mitchelstown, on the 15th of February 1900. My parents were farmers, and I joined the Mitchelstown Company of the Irish Volunteers about June 1917. On the 23rd of April 1921, when I was a section commander in Mitchelstown Company, I received a dispatch from the battalion vice officer in command, P.J. Luddy, instructing me to arrange for the destruction of the Ballygiblin Bridge that night. Accompanied by Michael O'Sullivan, I left Mitchelstown about 8 p.m. We cycled in the direction of Ballygiblin. About a mile and a quarter outside the town, on the Ballyporeen Road, we ran into an ambush of military who were lining the roadside fences just round the bend in the road. Both O'Sullivan and myself were armed. I had a .38 revolver with 4 rounds, and he had a .32 automatic with 5. Before we could get off the cycles, we were seized. We were then handcuffed, placed in separate armoured cars and taken to the Mitchelstown RIC barracks, where we were thoroughly searched. We were tried by court-martial on the 3rd of May 1921 on a charge of being in possession of arms and were sentenced to death.
Nice steaming coffee. But tea in Ireland, say, a friend of mine said, we'll have a cup of tea.
Tea.
Cup of tea.
Have a cup of tea.
Yeah, and potatoes with spuds. Put the spuds on.
When we moved to England, there was so much prejudice against the Irish.
On notice boards, no Irish, no dogs. No blacks, no Irish, no dogs, which was very offensive.
We were well placed. We were placed between dogs and colours.
On the radio, always jokes about the stupid Irish people.
Really?
Oh, constantly. The butt of jokes the whole time.
It was so strong for me. You called me Pat. All the family called me Pat. When I was 13, I felt this resentment. I called myself and told all my friends, my name now is not Pat, it's Paddy. Because to be a Paddy was to be synonymous with this prejudiced view of a person that was ignorant, unintelligent, dirty, drunk, stupid. And so people understood that was a derogatory term. So I adopted that name as a challenge. I was ready to take on the world. I was going to take on everyone, anyone, anywhere, anyhow. Now here's the paradox. Although I say all of that, I'm married to an English woman. I love her dearly. And my siblings are married to English. But even in my family, although my father was a staunch Republican, he actually really liked the royal family. He hated Winston Churchill, because Winston Churchill was the Home Secretary deploying black and tans into Ireland during the War of Independence, and they committed atrocities.
And my mother remembers the black and tans coming into her house where she lived with her family, just being terrified of them. And if I'm correct, most of the black and tans were just people released from prison here.
So this is a grave of our loving parents, or my grandparents. Jeremiah Clifford died 16th of June 1967. I was very little. And Ellen Clifford died 3rd of September 1982. I remember Jeremiah. I remember my granddad. I remember going in the room when it was dark and he was sick. I think I must have been about 4 or something. So that's my only recollection. Lots of memories of my nana. So how do you feel being here?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel quite peaceful.
What do you think makes you feel sad?
Maybe not being able to meet them. Nana said he didn't really talk about it much, and his brothers didn't really talk about it much. But I want to know.
Yeah, it's probably very painful, isn't it?
So many questions that I don't have answers to.
I want their rights, which my father fought for, to be transferable to my grandchildren, as their inherited rights of abode in Ireland, of abode in the rest of Europe. It's a form of civil rights. It's not one which has got all that political side to it, but it is a sort of, it's what I believe my father fought for you and for my grandchildren, to have those rights available to them.